The Unraveling of a Saint: How General Hospital's Willow Tate became Port Charles's most terrifying villain. In the tumultuous world of daytime drama, the line between victim and villain is often a razor's edge, blurred by tears, trauma, and terrible choices. For years, the residents of Port Charles and the viewers who watch them have placed Willow Tate firmly on the side of the angels. She was the gentle schoolteacher with a heart of gold, a woman who endured unimaginable loss, a cult upbringing, a manipulative mother, and the secret, soul-crushing death of her newborn son in a baby swap tragedy that remains one of the show's most poignant storylines. She was, for all intents and purposes, a victim, a survivor, a saint. But the saints of Port Charles rarely stay on their pedestals for long. In a shocking, gut-wrenching turn of events that has left the community reeling, Willow Tate has been unmasked not as a healer, but as a tormentor, not as a protector, but as a predator. The soft-spoken nurse, the loving wife to Michael Corinthos, the doting mother to Wiley, has been revealed as the very baby snatcher who plunged another mother into the depths of a similar hell she once knew. This wasn't a crime of passion or a moment of madness. It was a calculated, chilling act of delusion, justified by a warped sense of righteousness that has forced everyone, and every viewer, to ask a terrifying question: is Willow Tate simply unwell, or has the victim we once mourned transformed into the villain we should now fear? This revelation is more than just a plot twist. It is a psychological deep dive into the making of a monster, an exploration of how unprocessed grief can curdle into a dangerous obsession. The fallout from Willow's actions is a shockwave that has destabilized every corner of Port Charles, from the hallowed halls of the Quartermain mansion to the grimy underbelly of Sonny Corinthos's mob empire. To understand the chaos of the present, we must first dissect the tragic unraveling of Willow Tate, a character who has become, as one observer aptly put it, nuttier than a fruitcake. The case of Willow Tate, from tragic heroine to twisted antagonist. To appreciate the sheer seismic shock of this development, one must remember the Willow we first met. Introduced as a compassionate third-grade teacher, she was a woman trying to escape the clutches of the Dawn of Day cult and its charismatic, sinister leader, Shiloh. Her central conflict revolved around the baby she gave up for adoption to keep him safe from his cult leader father. That baby, she believed, was Wiley, the child being raised by Brad Cooper and Lucas Jones. For nearly 2 years, viewers watched as Willow built a tender, maternal bond with the boy she thought was her son, only to have her world implode with the discovery that her biological child had died shortly after birth. The baby she had grown to love, Wiley, was actually the son of Michael Corinthos and the deranged Nellie Benson. Her ER room meltdown upon learning the truth was a masterclass in televised heartbreak. It solidified her status as a character deserving of empathy and protection. She was the wronged party in a cruel scheme orchestrated by Nellie and Brad. This shared trauma eventually brought her and Michael together, a union that seemed forged in righteousness, two good people finding solace after being victimized by the same villain. Willow became a nurse, a new mother to Amelia, and a cancer survivor. She was a pillar of stability, the moral compass in a family often swayed by darkness. Or so it seemed. The first cracks in this saintly facade began to appear subtly. A growing self-righteousness, an inability to see fault in her own actions, and a simmering resentment that lay just beneath the surface. The woman who had fought so hard against the manipulative Nellie began, ironically, to mirror her. The true turning point, however, was the supposed kidnapping of Esme Prince's baby, Ace, who was, for a time, believed to be named Savannah Morgan. When the town was gripped by fear over the missing infant, no one suspected the gentle nurse who had once lost a child herself. The reveal was devastatingly simple and profoundly disturbing. An anonymous tip led Detective Chase, Willow's former fiancé, a man she had deeply wounded, to a secluded cottage on the outskirts of town. Inside was a chilling shrine to a stolen life. Baby formula, a crib, blankets embroidered with the initials SM, and on a surveillance tape ripped from the hospital's own security feed was the undeniable image of Willow Tate, entering the NICU and walking out with a bundled infant. When confronted, the Willow who broke down in a puddle of tears over losing Wiley was gone. In her place was a woman of chilling composure, her expression a mask of unnerving calm. She did not cry. She did not deny it. "I did what was necessary," she stated, her voice devoid of remorse. In her warped reality, she wasn't a kidnapper. She was a savior. As detailed in a private journal found at the scene, Willow had become convinced that Esme, with her turbulent past and criminal connections, was an unfit mother. Haunted by visions of her own deceased daughter, she believed she was acting on a higher calling to rescue the baby from a life of darkness. "I saw the signs," she wrote. "No one else did. So I did what I had to do. I gave her a chance to live." For Michael, her husband, the revelation was a cognitive and emotional cataclysm. "I can't even look at her the same way," he confessed to his mother, Carly, his face a portrait of disbelief and betrayal. Yet, he couldn't entirely erase the woman he loved. "But a part of me still remembers the woman who saved Wiley." This is the crux of the conflict. Is that woman gone forever, or is she buried under layers of trauma-induced psychosis? The cruelest irony is that in her quest to prevent another child from suffering, Willow has become a new Nellie, a woman who justifies endangering a child through her own deluded sense of victimhood and love. She has crossed a line she can't uncross, and the life she so carefully rebuilt from the ashes of her past has now been incinerated by her own hand. The ripple effect, how one woman's madness shook a city. Willow's actions have not occurred in a vacuum. They are the epicenter of an earthquake that is sending tremors through the already fragile foundations of Port Charles society, exposing fault lines in relationships, rivalries, and long-held loyalties. The immediate fallout: a mother's flight and a husband's choice. The most immediate victims are, of course, Esme and the baby. Though the child was found safe, the psychological terror inflicted upon her mother is immeasurable. The incident has pushed the already fragile Esme to a breaking point, forcing her to consider fleeing Port Charles to protect her child, a move that would take her away from the support system she has only just begun to build. Meanwhile, Michael Corinthos is faced with an impossible choice, one that will define his future. Does he stand by the woman he married, the mother of his children, and support her through what is clearly a severe mental health crisis? Or does he protect his family's name and, more importantly, his son Wiley, from a woman whose actions are now indefensible? His decision to file for legal separation is a protective measure, but it is also a heartbreaking admission that the marriage he fought for may be irrevocably broken. He is now forced to weigh his love for the Willow that was against the reality of the Willow that is, and either choice will come at a tremendous cost. Old feuds and new betrayals, the generational drama. The chaos extends beyond the central players, inflaming rivalries both old and new. The ongoing petty feud between Lulu Spencer and Brooklyn Quartermaine, a modern-day echo of the legendary Vicky and Dorian rivalry, serves as a backdrop of simmering tension. These two women, wrong and petty in their own right, represent the kind of garden-variety conflict that has long defined the town. However, the stakes have been raised for the younger generation. Trina Robinson, a character defined by her integrity and strength, found herself betrayed by her boyfriend, Kai. In a misguided attempt to win favor with the manipulative Congressman Drew Kane, Kai exposed the secrets of Trina's parents. Trina's response was swift and powerful. She didn't just break up with him. She tore him down, rejecting his weak justifications and banishing him from her life. Her strength stands in stark contrast to Willow's dissent, offering a different path for a young woman wronged. This subplot also paints a darker picture of Drew Kane, who has evolved from a sympathetic hero into a cutthroat congressman, willing to use and discard people to achieve his political ends. The constant of the Corinthos empire. Amidst the personal turmoil, the bedrock of Port Charles drama, the mob, remains a constant threat. Sonny Corinthos has spent the better part of the year contemplating retirement, longing for a life of peace with his family. Yet the life always pulls him back in. A new threat has emerged in the form of a man named Sidwell, who is pressuring authorities to keep the investigation into Natalia's death open, clearly with the intent of pinning it on Sunny. This forces Sunny to once again rely on his most trusted enforcer, Jason Morgan. We see Sunny, the weary patriarch, trying to protect his grandson Gio by warning him away from the family business, only to be dragged back into the violence himself. It's a classic General Hospital narrative, the inescapable pull of the mob, where personal desires are always secondary to the preservation of power. Loose ends and looming threats, the future of Port Charles. As the initial shock begins to subside, a new set of questions emerges, promising even more drama on the horizon. The messiest man and the friend-zone love. The perennial romantic disaster that is Rick has once again found himself caught between two women, the love of his life, Elizabeth Weber, and the dangerously alluring Ava Jerome. The chemistry between Rick Hurst and Rebecca Herbst, Rick and Elizabeth, remains palpable, a testament to years of shared history. Rick, as Lucas so perfectly described him, is the messiest man in the world, a character who would go to the ends of the earth for Elizabeth, but would still lie and keep secrets along the way. Knowing this, Elizabeth has wisely friend-zoned him, refusing to let herself be hurt again. This, of course, pushes him back toward Ava, creating a volatile triangle that is sure to erupt. The brief mention of a kiss between Ava and Cody Bell only adds another layer of complication to this already tangled web. An unlikely alliance and an ominous return. The news of Britt Westbourne's past crimes, stealing Lulu and Dante's embryo to carry Rocco to term, has finally reached her son. In a poignant scene, Rocco confronts his parents, seeking to understand his own complicated origins. This family drama, however, has an unexpected consequence. It is the catalyst for the return of Britt's mother, the formidable and unpredictable Liesl Albrecht. Her arrival in Port Charles is sure to inject a dose of comic relief and high-stakes danger, as her allegiances are always in question. The revelation about Britt has also led to an unlikely truce. Tracy Quartermain, ever the pragmatist, has begged Chase to broker a peace between her granddaughter Brooke Lynn and Lulu. Whether these two can ever truly move past their animosity remains to be seen, but the shared family crisis might be the only thing that could force them to try. Conclusion: the aftermath and the road ahead. Willow Tate's descent from a beloved heroine to a deeply disturbed kidnapper has shattered the moral landscape of Port Charles. The revelation that she, a woman defined by her suffering, could inflict that same suffering on another has forced every character to reevaluate their alliances and their understanding of the people they thought they knew. Her actions, born from a place of profound and twisted grief, have set off a chain reaction of consequences that will be felt for months, if not years, to come. Michael faces the agonizing task of navigating his love for his wife with his duty as a father. Esme must decide if Port Charles is a place where her child can ever truly be safe. The long-standing rivalries and newfound betrayals will continue to fester, while the shadow of the mob looms ever present. In Port Charles, the aftermath of a storm is often more dangerous than the storm itself. As the town grapples with this unthinkable truth, one thing is certain: Willow Tate's journey is far from over. Whether her path leads to a prison cell, a padded room, or some form of redemption, the woman who was once the town's angel has now shown them her demons, and Port Charles will never be the same. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.